Hello and welcome to a Thursday live right here on the early line on SportsGrid and all across the SportsGrid network. That includes sportsgrid.com/watch, where you can find your favorite destination to consume everything all across the grid. He is Donnie Rightside. I am Ben Stevens. We are here together for the next 3 hours up until 11 a.m. Eastern time. Only one NBA playoff game around the association last night. Not all that far away from us here in Midtown Manhattan at the world's most famous arena. We recap what we saw between the Knicks and the Pacers, and then we set the stage for a doubleheader. That's two games once again in the NBA playoffs on this Thursday evening slate. We'll go around Major League Baseball with a ton of day baseball yesterday before a light slate on this Thursday and some more wild theatrics in the Stanley Cup postseason. All of that DRS over these next 3 hours.
Yep, it's our job here on a Thursday to get the people ready. Also, not a big slate in Major League Baseball, and also some afternoon action, which didn't treat me kind yesterday, Ben, which included my favorite bet yesterday was Mookie Betts to get an RBI. Did not work out in my favor, so I'm back on the hunt for another victory. But a lot of exciting things and a lot of things to ponder moving forward, which includes the Knicks, though, with that 2-0 series lead. Injuries, could they catch up? But they do have the series lead. Back to Indiana we go.
The Knicks do not have a ton of depth. How will some injuries affect them moving forward to Indianapolis? But the Knicks will still be feeling good overall because they have a 2-0 series lead. A similar Knicks game from what we have seen throughout their 8 in this postseason. It's decided by single digits, tight throughout the fourth quarter until the final few minutes when the Knickerbockers start to pull away inside Madison Square Garden. 121. New York wins and takes a 2-0 series advantage over Indiana. Total of 217.5 or even higher than that does go over, and the New York Knicks do cover as a 4.5-point favorite inside Madison Square Garden in a game where Jalen Brunson did not score 40 because he missed the entirety of the second quarter. And in that game, the New York Knicks still victorious.
It's amazing. They scored 130 points yesterday without their best player for an entire quarter. Also, if you just want to take a look at the box score, you got great bench performances out of the Indiana Pacers, 20 points out of Toppin, 10 points out of McConnell. Shepard even chipped in with 11. You got 34 points out of Tyrese Halliburton. And you still lost the basketball game. Sometimes it's just the Knicks' year right now, whether it be the refs helping them out or just getting great play. They never should have won that game. Double-digit lead where you might even think that Brunson wasn't even coming back into that basketball game, and he comes back. And the thing I love about it best is you heard from the team where they were in the locker room and Brunson went out to test that damaged foot or damaged ankle that he has, and you heard the rumbles from the crowd as if our superstar was coming back, and he certainly did. What a performance, a gutsy performance from the Knicks. But sooner or later, injuries are going to catch up. They just haven't yet in a monster performance yesterday by the Knicks B players.
So Indiana outscored New York 41-12 off the bench, but it was all 5 starters for the Knickerbockers scoring in double figures, at least 14 points. Jalen Brunson, who missed the entirety of the second quarter with what the New York Knicks were calling a sore right foot, did return for the second half. But late in the third quarter, OG Anunoby putting up his best playoff game of his career, 28 points, drilling 4 triples, did leave with what the Knicks are calling a sore left hamstring. His status uncertain as we change venues to Indianapolis for game number 3. But the New York Knicks, once again the headline, a 2-0 series lead, 2 wins away from their first berth to an Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since the year 2000. Now we go to the Stanley Cup postseason. What a wild game it was last night in Vancouver. Edmonton, a road ice favorite. The Oilers, a hefty favorite. The Cup favorites entering this second round. And the Oilers, a big favorite to win this series outright against the Canucks, the 2 remaining Canadian teams. And it seemed through the first 2 periods that was going to be the case. Edmonton was up 4-1 DRS in the second period before the Canucks storm all the way back, scoring 4 unanswered goals to steal a win from the jaws of defeat. 5-4. Vancouver pulls off the Canuck comeback last night.
Yeah, and the reason why they pulled that comeback off after being down 4-1 is because Skenes absolutely fell apart in net for the Oilers. He was atrocious in that third period. Just got to make some simple saves, and your team would be up 1-0 in that series, which now you find yourself fighting on climbing up that hill, being down 0-1. You got to win that game if you're the Oilers, and you can just squarely put that right on the goalie. Sometimes goalies can steal games. Sometimes they can give it away. The Oilers, they gave that game away last night.
Yeah, they certainly did. And the Canucks take a 1-0 series lead. Again, a home ice underdog last night against Edmonton. Florida was not a home ice underdog. In fact, a minus 166 money line favorite. DRS, there's bad blood between these two teams, the Bruins and the Panthers. Last year, the Bees, after the best regular season in NHL history, had a 3-1 series lead over the measly Florida Panthers, who stormed back to win the series in 7. Game number 1 of this year's second round set. Boston goes to Sunrise and blows out the Panthers 5-1. The Panthers return the favor last night in game number 2. A 6-1 victory over Boston. Not the best night for your guy down your right side. That would be Jeremy Swayman in net for the Bees.
Coming back down to earth, and also let's keep in mind the Bruins had a 1-0 lead after that first period. Now, also, as you know, in the playoffs, a little bit different than the regular season, you'll get square-ups all the time, but it's almost like that gentleman's shake in the playoffs. We don't fight unless things get out of whack, and last night, with that big lead, everybody wants to settle their differences. This is why hockey's fantastic. They police themselves here, and now we can say we officially got a series with bad blood and a 1-1 series. I can't wait to watch this going back to Boston. Awesome stuff last night from the Panthers.
We got a fight that featured Matthew Tkachuk. We saw 148 combined penalty minutes between these two sides long after the game was really decided, at least the outcome in the score. Back to the NBA here. An interesting timing of the announcement of the MVP award. But for the third time in the last 4 years, Nikola Jokic is the NBA's most valuable player. He becomes the 9th player in NBA history to win the MVP award for a third time.
I also miss the times where they go overseas to give Jokic that award on his horse farm. It's like a tiny little golf ball-sized trophy. Here you go, brother. Let's take a picture, and away we go back to the United States. But, yes, that is an interesting time because you figure they should be up maybe 2-0. It's more of a celebration. Now it's like, man, how do you get the MVP? Look at their team. They're terrible in the playoffs. I love the backlash that you get when you're not performing well and you get an award.
Listen, it's a regular season award determined by what you did in the regular season in those 82 games. And Nikola Jokic was the MVP this year, his third in the past 4 NBA seasons. Plus 430 before the season got started. He was the favorite. Wonder what that price looks like entering 2024-25. Major League Baseball, a ton of day baseball yesterday, including in Philadelphia, where the Phils entered with a 7-game win streak, 11 consecutive at the bank in the city of brotherly love. Those both came to a close yesterday. Toronto wins 5-3 over Philly. The Phils had their chances, DRS, in the home half of the 9th inning, unable to produce. Toronto wins 5-3.
Yeah, Whit Merrifield came up with runners on second and third and 2 outs. A base knock would have sent that game to extra innings. And also Merrifield, remember, played for the Toronto Blue Jays. Maybe that would have been a little bit of getting back at them. But also for me, I got Ugats yesterday in this game. Why? Because I had Marsh and also Harper to get an RBI. Did not work out. But today's a new day, and maybe we'll cash in those tickets. But runs have to end there, and the Philadelphia Phillies just can't win every game at home, Ben.
More news in Major League Baseball, slightly off the field. Shohei Ohtani's former interpreter, Ippei Mizuhara, intends to plead guilty to all of the fraudulent charges he is facing. And in Major League Baseball, Paul Skenes, the number 1 pick of last year's MLB draft out of LSU, is slated to make his Major League Baseball debut this Saturday for Pittsburgh.
Only a month too late here, but that's Major League Baseball for you. We'll look forward to him pitching because he looks like he's going to be a good one, Ben.